Shalom Israel Mishpah. How we doing today, Zion? I hope the Most High finds you well and you are good. Now, today's lesson is going to be a Hebrew versus Israel united in Christ. Now, this video is going directly on their teaching of the RFID chip is a hoax. I'm going to place their link of what they're teaching on in the description so you can go there and listen to it in its entirety. I will play the majority of their video as well inside this. I am also going to pause it, not to give any words, but just to tell you to focus on what they're teaching at the time. We are first going to start off with some heathens talking about the RFID chip, what it does. We're going to actually look at CERN, this logo for CERN, what that means, and how many nations that are involved. And also we're going to look at one thing that the government did in California, Brown, and how they put fear in and how they got people of lesser communities to make sure they're taking the vaccinations. If that's good or bad, how you Hebrews need to put that in your own context. And when I say your own context, that means on how the word of the Most High speaks and where your faith falls along in that belief. We're going to play the heathens first, then I'm going to let Israel United in Christ go over their teaching. After their teaching, I'm going to use the same exact scriptures they use, but the difference is I'm going to read the word in its entirety so we can get thorough understanding of what the Most High is talking about. Is he talking about some big powerful country which he calls beasts, or is he talking about all men when he says all men? So with that, no further ado, all praise to the Most High, and hopefully you have ears to hear and eyes to see, Zion. Let's turn it over to the heathens. Shalom.
All right, this Wisconsin company, this company says it's about to become the first in the U.S. to offer microchip implants to its employees. You heard that right. Microchip implants under the skin. Josh Rosenthal joins us live from just up the hall to explain this. He's in the building with us right now. Josh, what's this all about?
That's right. So, Lindsay, just outside of the studio here, we've got a few of these vending machines. Now, we all know how these work, right? You walk up, you put your dollar in, you get your bag of chips. Well, as I learned today, these machines are quickly becoming very old-fashioned, and in fact, just how old-fashioned may surprise you. At 3 Square Market in River Falls, a team of programmers designed software for break room markets, like this one. Believe it or not, this is the reason they're about to do this to more than 50 of their employees.
It's the next thing that's inevitably going to happen, and we want to be a part of it.
The concept is pretty simple. Just like how you can buy something nowadays using your phone, what if you could use a microchip inside your hand instead? Todd, you're going to show us how this could potentially work.
Yes, basically what this is considered is a break room market in an office complex. We'll come up, scan the item, we'll hit pay with credit card, and it's asking to swipe my proximity payment now. I'll hold my hand up, just like the cell phone, and it will pay for my product.
Instead of a credit card,
correct,
your hand.
Because my microchip is now my credit card.
More than 50 3 Square Market employees are having them implanted starting next week. Not only can they buy stuff with them, they'll also be able to use the chips to get in the front door and log on to their computers. Each chip costs $300. The company's picking up the tab. The chip goes between your thumb and forefinger, and CEO Todd Westby says the data is both encrypted and secure. So if I'm one of your employees and I've got this chip in my hand, you won't know, hey, Josh is slacking off. I can tell because I'm reading this chip.
No, there's no GPS tracking at all.
Employees here aren't required to get the chip. One of the ones choosing to do so, however, just so happens to be former North Star player and current Edina hockey coach, Kurt Giles. If somebody told you back in the day when you're flying around the ice playing for the North Stars that you're going to have a chip implanted in your hand, you're going to use it to pay for stuff, you're going to use it to get in and out of buildings, what would you have told that person?
I probably would have thought a chip tooth or a chip of ice, but not a chip that has the technology that we're talking about today.
Okay, now, in case you're wondering, Lindsay, each one of these chips, it's about the size of a single grain of rice. It's tiny, just one little grain of rice. And now, get this. If you get one of these implanted into your hand and you want to get rid of it, you know how you do that? For real? They tell me you just pop it out.
It's almost hard to believe. Did they offer you one?
They did. They very much wanted me to come back next week when they're putting them in employees and get one. Still not sold, but I'm a little closer to being sold than I was when I walked in.
Faster from the vending machine.
Sure would.
All right, now we need to upgrade the vending machines.
Yeah, really.
All right, thank you, Josh. Sure. All right, this may be the first time a U.S. company is using the technology, but it's already being used in Europe. A company in Sweden offered more than 100 employees the opportunity to get those microchips earlier this year. The company Epicenter Stockholm says phone and internet browsing history poses more of a threat than the chip.
We came across this and saw it being used in other societies. We said, why not us?
Why not us? That's the attitude here at 3 Square Market in River Falls. The software engineering company has taken the tech world by storm by offering to microchip employees.
An opportunity that we saw to really provide something to society.
President and CEO Patrick McMullen has been working on this project since January. Employees aren't required to get the chip. It's completely voluntary.
It's a big needle, though.
I've been pierced with bigger.
The company offered me the opportunity to get chipped, and I agreed.
One more big deep breath in, and exhale. Not too bad, huh?
Not too bad. Yeah, just a pinch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Okay.
Convenience, in a lot of ways convenience. You know, really eliminating what I have to carry in my pockets.
Employee Tony Dana says the chip will be used for basic tasks like getting in and out of the building, logging onto his computer, and buying snacks in the break room.
And then to finalize your payment, you'll put your RFID chip, hold it against it. Now my unique card that's identified with the RFID chip, it's asking if I'd like to put the $6 on my chip. So yes.
Since word got out about the chips, 3 Square has been contacted by hospitals, universities, even the U.S. and foreign governments about the technology.
Imagine being able to travel without a passport or worry about losing it. You just hold your hand up and all the documentation comes up.
The company says this particular chip is not capable of GPS, but they admit that could be in the future. In River Falls, Tim Elliott, WISN 12 News.
3 Square says the microchips are made in Taiwan. The company ordered 60 of them. The cost of each chip is believed to be around $300.
All right, Zion. That was the first group of heathens speaking, and they were speaking directly on a Wisconsin company that has already started using the RFID chip. So as we looked at the video, they were using that RFID chip to go in and out of work, to buy goods, to sell goods, anything from as small as a Snickers bar, a piece of bubble gum, or something even more greater than that. Now, they also said this Wisconsin company has got an affiliation with hospitals, and they got their information from doing this from other countries. So we're going to look at Sweden for a second, not long, because over there is the CERN machine. We're going to break down what CERN means, and then we're going to see exactly who's in bed with some of these companies. And they said they got their RFID chip made out of Taiwan. And we'll see if that's in bed with the Chinese Echo Research Network. And that's what the CERN abbreviation stand for. They also said that they got in contact with different hospitals. We got some things in Wisconsin. Epic, for example, they are building information that goes nationwide. So if you got your medical records here in New York City, you got your medical records in Texas, you got your medical records in Montana, you got your medical records in California, so on and so forth, that information will travel with you. So we got one Wisconsin business making it where the RFID chip is inside you already. We got another Wisconsin business getting everything that's online. Merge the two together. All your medical bills, medical treatments, so on and so forth can be merged under one city in one umbrella. And again, no one can buy nor sell. So with this, we're going to look at another part of the heathens. We're going to look at what CERN is, and let's go from there. That way, when we get to the people talking about the word and what they're talking about, you guys are going to have a thorough understanding of what is being said. All right. All praises. Shalom.
Okay, now I'm going to stick you a little bit here. I want to make sure you feel nothing. Yep, all done. Okay, can I have that, please? And there's your number that's inside.
And then it's put in a small glass capsule, and it is injected into your body, just like a shot of penicillin. As I mentioned previously, there's a product on it called BioBond that immediately upon injection forms a pseudo-scar tissue inside your skin so that the chip doesn't migrate. There's no power source in the chip. It lies dormant underneath your skin for years, and it's only awakened when a scanner is waved over the area where the chip is implanted.
And if you get to the very tip, so you get this thing working, there's a searching, okay, and then a number should pop up, and that will be the number.
The chip itself does not have any location technology capabilities such as GPS. The product is tiny, it's the size of a grain of rice. Today, it is impossible to put a GPS receiver and a GPS transmitter inside a product the size of a grain of rice. So the chip itself is purely for identification, only holds a 16-digit code for you, that is your identification number.
I'm going to read, the scanner reads me, it could be on a portal like any kind of network you wanted it to because it's open architecture.
And then once they have it for the medical application, to communicate their medical records, their medical device information, their insurance information, their personal information in a clinical or emergency situation, they can then use it for the other applications: security, ingress and egress into a facility, financial as a secondary means of authentication to credit cards to help prevent identity theft.
$10 to 15 of these units, all nice and pretty and, you know, well designed.
Even right now.
Greetings, citizens of the world. We are anonymous. It is possible that in the next few years, all citizens of America will eventually be tagged with microchips. These chips will be implanted to help identify individuals immediately. The technology will also be used to answer one question, namely, am I who I say I am? RFID chips are small electronic devices that consist of a small chip and an antenna. The chip is able to store data, while the antenna allows the sending and receiving of information. When such an object is implanted into your body, and particularly your brain, it is unlikely to come with an easily accessible off switch. Other electronics could be attached to the chip, without your knowledge. These could include GPS emitters, or perhaps even neurotoxin emitters. Being implanted with brain chips is unlikely to endow you with all the knowledge of the universe, or martial arts prowess in a split second. However, instead, it will serve as the ultimate form of surveillance and subjugation. Considering what the US government has done thus far, with regards to NSA spying, we do not believe that this technology is only about convenience. It will be marketed as such, at least until everyone has one. There is a Wisconsin company called 3 Square Market, which is offering to implant their employees with a RFID microchip the size of a grain of rice. The chip functions as an NFC-powered multi-purpose key/credit card identification tool that the company sees as the future. This company sells micro-market technology running over 2,000 kiosks in break rooms and other locations worldwide. The chips that at least 50 company employees had received on August 1st will allow them to make purchases at their company's own break room market, so it sure seems to be an alpha test of a potential product offering as much as it is an unusual perk. Employees will also be able to use the chip, implanted between the thumb and index finger, to open doors, use copy machines, log into computers, share business cards and store health information. Although this company's chip program is voluntary and directly related to its product offerings, this could lead on other companies to do the same thing until eventually we're all forced to get these chips implanted into our bodies. Belgian marketing firm New Fusion is also offering this technology, by giving their employees the chance to replace their existing ID cards with RFID chips implanted under their skin. The chip contains personal information and provides access to the company's IT systems and headquarters. The microchips used at New Fusion cost around €100 and are inserted between the thumb and index finger, very similar to the ones made by 3 Square Market. Even back in 2015, a Swedish company implanted microchips in its staff which allowed them to use the photocopier, open security doors and even pay for their lunch. This has been going on for years now. It is believed there are now 10,000 people across the world using microchip technology inside their bodies, and this number could drastically increase. A lot of people might see this as a harmless piece of technology, but it could easily turn into something more sinister. We are anonymous.
There is a 17-mile-long accelerator that lies 300 feet beneath the surface of the ground. This area is where France and Switzerland come together. So part of this accelerator is located in France and part of it in Switzerland.
A large portion of CERN is located in the territory of St. Genus Poli. In Roman times, it was called Apolliacum. The town and the temple were dedicated to Apollyon, the destroyer, Shiva, or Horus. The very city that CERN is sitting on is the ancient temple to the god Apollyon.
Here we have, in CERN, Switzerland, a huge wheel. Inside that wheel is a Hindu god, and his name is Shiva. He does a dance of destruction inside that wheel, and his purpose is he is one of the triad gods, one of the greatest gods of Hinduism. Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. Brahma is the god of creation. Vishnu is the god of preservation, but Shiva is the god of destruction. The way the Hindu sees it is that when Shiva destroys, it's not for the purpose of annihilation. He destroys so that Brahma can come and recreate. So now when the Hindu, since they're scientists to CERN, they put this out there in front, and so what these people are doing with the collider is destroying what comes together, but for the purpose of recreating and find out what brought it into existence to begin with. Are you following me? Now here we have men that are scientists on an average of an IQ of anywhere from 160 to 200 or even above. These are some of the smartest brains in all the world. No question about it whatsoever. I pick up physicists and try to read some of this stuff. I think, good night. Forget me. That's for a brain that is wired that way.
Pay your fare using only your hand. Are you one of those people that's always losing stuff like keys and tickets? Well, Sweden has found the solution. Around 3,000 Swedish commuters have had biometric microchips implanted in their hands in order to pay for train tickets. Commuters who elect to have the RFID chip implanted under the skin are able to have their tickets loaded onto the device. The implants use near-field communication technology, similar to contactless credit cards or mobile payments. When activated by a reader device a few centimeters away, information can be transferred between them using magnetic field induction. The train conductor then scans the microchip with a smartphone to complete and verify the ticket transaction. An estimated 20,000 people in Sweden already have implants and are using them to swipe in and out of the office and to pay for food. You want to put that where? Science fiction is becoming fact, and we're not sure we like it. A tech firm in Wisconsin is about to become the first company in the US to give microchip implants to its employees. 3 Square Market, which designs software for vending machines, says more than 50 of its workers have volunteered to have the devices fitted. The microchips are about the size of a grain of rice and will be inserted into the skin between the thumb and forefinger. The microchips will allow workers to access the building and log on to their computers. Employees can also use the chips to buy food-like products from office vending machines. The purveyors of this dystopian technology claim there is no GPS function and it won't be used to keep tabs on employees. But we can't help but feel like we're sleepwalking into a future where even the blandest details of our lives are recorded, possibly to be used against us at a later date. The company says none of its employees are required to get a chip implant. But it's not impossible to imagine a world where this kind of thing is the norm. And if you want a job, you'll have no choice but to become part cyborg. Just because something tech-related is possible doesn't mean we have to do it.
Now we put in our skills into study to show ourselves approved at CERN. First, we heard some people talk about CERN, but let's get some background information on that company itself. CERN, C-E-R-N, goes by 2 different acronyms. First, Council of European pour la Recherche Nucléaire, which they break it down to CERN, or Chinese Ecosystem Research Network. CERN itself is made up of 22 different members. As an intergovernmental organization, CERN is funded primarily through contributions from its 22 member states, associated member states, and 1 candidate for accession to membership. Accordingly, as a standard of IOGO, CERN recruits a staff members. Most of its follows in the participants and its student programs and nationalities of these countries. The following 22 countries are member states of CERN: Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Israel, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, the Slavic Republic, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, Romania, Cyprus, India, Pakistan, Serbia, Slovenia, Turkey, and the Ukraine are associate member states, and therefore Cypriot, India, Pakistani, Serbian, Slavic, Turkish, and Ukrainian nationals are eligible to apply for staff positions as well as students, associate, and fellow programmers. So that's the countries that all make up this entity. Now, what does CERN have to do with the RFID chip? So when we look at CERN, they got a group of students visiting Point 5 on Tuesday morning were roped in to help CMS conduct tests on infrastructure designed to monitor the flow of underground visits during the open days. So CERN had a big open day and people are coming to check it out. It uses long-range ultra-high frequency radio frequency identification, RFID chips, and it successfully tests means that the 20 RFID gates installed all over CERN can now be considered operational. So throughout this massive, and this thing is one of the biggest things operational wise known on the planet, they've got 20 RFID chips inside Switzerland, and people try to figure out, let's say CERN is changing the environment. CERN opened up portals above the sky. The one thing you know for a fact is where Switzerland and France is, there are more people with RFID chips implanted in their body coming out from that location than anywhere else on the planet. So one, people want to look at the Earth itself. How is CERN affecting it? And other people want to look at the cosmos, the area. Again, the one thing we can quantify is how many people are chipped inside CERN itself. Their gates for you to move around got RFID chips. Now the chips that they have in CERN, they do exactly this. They know exactly how many people are underground. They say it's very important, particularly in the case of an emergency, as it helps the fire brigade conduct successful evacuations and emergencies. A small human error, counting an incorrect number when making an entry and forgetting to sign out. They said all these things prove vital. So between visitors coming in, how many people there, what they taking in and out the building, all this stuff is involved in the RFID chip. And again, within Sweden, you could ride the train local system. You can go get your food. You can go get your coffee. The whole 9 yards, kicking and caboodle. And that's where CERN is. Now the company that did 3 stages in Wisconsin, they got their RFID chips made in Taiwan. Now let's go with the United States, because the United States is not mentioned as a member of the Hadron Collider. So let's see why. Why are the U.S. not a member CERN? CERN is composed of European member states, with the U.S. not being European. It is not a member. So what does that mean? This doesn't mean that the U.S. isn't still an important contributor to CERN. In all, more than 8,000 scientists and students from almost 60 nations on 6 continents collaborate on the Large Hadron Collider, 6 experiments. Of those, about 1,700 come from the universities and laboratories in the United States of America. Federal funding of the U.S. scientists' work comes from Office of Science of the Department of Energy and of the National Science Foundation. So, even though they're not an official member, they still have over 1,700 members that's involved in CERN. And let's go to one last thing, the U.S. CERN agreement. So, this is something that just happened recently. The United States and CERN agreement paves the way to a new era of discovery. So the Energy Secretary, Ernest Moez, CERN Director, General Rolf Hauer, and then NSF Director Franz A. Cordo signed a U.S. CERN agreement in the White House. And again, you're just looking at them heathens smile and sign the paperwork. That's all that picture is about. A new agreement signed yesterday in Washington between the United States and CERN will pave the way for renewed collaboration in particle physics. The agreement signed in a White House ceremony by the U.S. Department of Energy, U.S. National Science Foundation, and CERN will enable continued scientific discoveries in particle physics and advanced computation. The agreement, which will automatically renew every 5 years unless one of the signatories indicates a need to modify or end the agreement. So, the United States is aligned and in bed with the Large Hadron Collider, as well as we make our own Hadron Collider called the Thimble. So, that's a part of CERN. How much the RFID chip has sprung forward since that machine has started, and how many people are physically, and not hoping, not saying they're not going to buy this or not going to buy that, how many people are physically, as we waking up every morning, have a chip inside their body as we speak, and how much is growing. We also saw one video where one of the Wisconsin companies were putting a chip in a Negro. Negro. And again, that's a part of that epic healthcare that's spreading overseas. Over 2% of the countries overseas, first world countries, has this system going. As well as all those in the United States, over half, and growing. So that's all based out of Wisconsin. The RFID chip, they're starting all their vending machines and all the stuff they're spreading off, the kiosks, the coffee, all the stuff you're talking about we do on a daily basis, linked up with this other country, this other company inside of Wisconsin. And all these things are bedfellows. Now we're going to look at a little history of Walmart, and also a law that went in place about being forced to get immunization. And these things will go hand in hand, because when we start talking about the fear and what's going to cause people to get chipped, it's going to be for a multitude of reasons. But ultimately, these people are choosing these reasons because they choose sin. They don't want to return back to the Most High. So that's a very important part of it. Anyone teaching on that, that helps you have eyes to see and ears to hear. But whatever the Most High say is true, and let every other man be a lie. So we're going to look at these last two things, Walmart and how they got their funding and the stuff that's going on them, as well as this people getting this vaccination going across. Then we're going to let Israel United in Christ tell you that the RFID chip and what they see, and they're going to use the word, how they believe it's a hoax. So with that, we're going to let a couple more heathens speak. Then we're going to get to some Hebrews. Shalom.
There's something weird going on with Walmart. Are we now seeing the true form of one of the world's largest companies? Is Walmart an entity of the government, operating in the private sector, meant to usher in martial law? Is its purpose found even in its name? I will take you through 6 facts that expose Walmart's deep connection to the US government and its preparation for mandatory RFID chipping and martial law coming to the US. I would highly advise you to listen carefully to this entire video. The information contained in it is extremely important. Fact number 1. To understand the truth about Walmart, you first need a history lesson. The founder, Sam Walton, is long deceased, but his legacy is very much alive. What is he remembered for? Well, you may not know that Sam Walton was a part of the U.S. intelligence agency during World War II and a security chief over internment camps located inside of the United States. These camps held hundreds of thousands of whites of German and Italian descent and Asians of Japanese descent. They were held there after FDR violated their constitutional rights. Sam Walton oversaw these prisoners of war. The Walmart U.S. government connection is not new, you see. It goes way, way back. Armed with that information, let us continue to fact number 2. From 2001 through 2016, Walmart has received an estimated $50 to $100 billion in secret subsidies granted by the U.S. government. We know several industries are subsidized by the government to keep prices low. But why Walmart? There are entire websites dedicated to following Walmart's grants, tax breaks, and earmarks. These websites unanimously agree that Walmart has received tens of billions of dollars in kickbacks over the years. Why are they getting so much money? Is it merely to keep their prices low? Or is it for other expenditures? Fact number 3. Walmart has struck a deal with the U.S. government, hiring 130,000 reserve, active duty, and veterans in the United States over the past 3 years. A massive force of highly trained and skilled soldiers. It's an odd fact, because recently they just fired thousands of regular workers and closed 269 stores because of financial problems, or so they said. Walmart explained that their 2016 store closings were an attempt to save money. So why did they just hire 130,000 new employees? Of course, we always celebrate when veterans are treated with respect and given good jobs, but this is strange. 130,000 sounds more like a small army. In fact, Walmart's soldiers make up 10% of the company's total U.S. workforce. That is a huge proportion of new hires, especially for a company who just claimed that they had financial difficulty 6 months ago. What in the world is Walmart doing with its new army? Fact number 4. In the last 20 days, 24 homicides or attempted murders have happened on Walmart's premises around the United States. These crimes range from shootings to stabbings to arson to suicide to attempted vehicular homicide. Having reviewed these alleged crimes, I ask the question, are they even legitimate? Or are they FEMA exercises that Walmart is carrying out alongside the Department of Homeland Security? Many details from the Walmart crimes aren't adding up, and it makes me question the validity of the entire event. For example, I'll play a 911 call from the Amarillo, Texas Walmart shooting. In it, a witness says that 2 gunmen are clearly involved, but later, only one is killed by the SWAT team and no hostages are injured.
6-3 to base, be advised, we got 1 suspect with a hostage in the... There is a second suspect somewhere in the store. We are in the store.
My question is, were Amarillo and other Walmart shootings legitimate? The audio in the Amarillo case told us that there were 2 shooters, not 1. Likewise, in other alleged massacres around the U.S., major discrepancies were made that could make one question the validity of the event. In San Bernardino, there were supposed to be 3 shooters, not 2. In Orlando, it was reported early on that 1 or 2 additional people were involved in the 3-hour rampage. People interviewed claimed that the additional people were holding the doors shut to prevent escape of clubgoers, yet police insist only Omar Mateen was involved. Why did these police reports contain so many contradictions to the witnesses of the event? Are these DHS exercises in preparation for an outbreak of anarchy in America? Fact number 5. Let's revisit a major point I brought up in a prior video about Walmart. The discounter is literally in the back pocket of the U.S. government, cooperating on a variety of different initiatives. One of these was a massive introduction of RFID chipping into Walmart's supply chain back around 2003, introduced alongside the Department of Defense. Why was the DoD involved with Walmart on RFID? Walmart was also cooperating with DHS Secretary Janet Napolitano on an initiative to report suspicious people in their facilities. Why is the DHS working with Walmart on this? Additionally, several former Walmart executives are currently working for the U.S. government in FEMA positions in emergency preparedness. For example, Walmart disaster manager Brian Coons was appointed to spearhead Florida Emergency Response and Disaster Readiness Divisions. Why are these former Walmart executives being promoted in the government to major positions of disaster response? Fact number 6. Walmart has recently cooperated with Omar Mateen's former employer called G4S on initiatives in its U.S. stores involving security. Could there be a connection between what happened in Orlando and Walmart? Before I address this, I want to caution viewers. Please do not believe what you are being told on television about Orlando. The elites have already gotten what they want, and that is an outcry for heightened security. In order to have security, they'll have to take away guns. They'll have to use more biometrics and RFID to track you. They'll have to put up more cameras to watch you. We're living in 1984. Fear incited by Islamic terrorism is their tool of choice to get you to give in. Notice the cry for gun control after Orlando, the cry for more security. Do not be fooled by their agenda. The lamestream media has convinced everybody about Mateen's radical Islamic ties in order to scare you. I am not interested in the misleading Islamic terrorism narrative that began in 1945 and accelerated in 2001. The narrative is the same. Islamic terrorist attack happens, followed by calls for more gun control, the Patriot Act, more internet monitoring, more cameras, more things to stop a future event like this from happening. It's the same response every single time. Once bin Laden got old, once he didn't cause the fear that they needed him to cause, they got rid of him. And then they created scary ISIS. Mateen's ISIS connection is a fabrication to get you to submit. I'm not buying it. I am more interested in his 9-year career with a company called G4S, which is the largest security company in the world. If you've ever seen the movie Resident Evil, G4S might bring to mind the Umbrella Corporation, a secretive organization that operates in the shadows. G4S is the 3rd largest employer in the world with a virtual stranglehold over cybersecurity and cyber data in almost every country. It does have other interests, however, including RFID chipping. The company states on its website that one of its goals is to use RFID to track assets and people anywhere in the world. Back in 2011, G4S put in a patent request with the U.S. government for an RFID device that would be used to track people who were incarcerated. No joke. The RFID device is tamper-resistant, worn on the hand or wrist, and is meant to tag and follow prisoners. The patent was just made public in February of 2016, and now G4S will work closely with Walmart. An article published in April of 2016 indicates that Walmart and G4S quietly signed a deal, an agreement on a huge initiative that will change Walmart's entire system of payment in all stores. There will be a gradual rollout of the new system until it is fully implemented. In conclusion, I believe there is beyond ample evidence to suggest that Walmart is serving a major purpose as we head toward the Marshall State.
California parents who don't vaccinate their children would have to homeschool them under a bill passed Thursday by the state Senate. The latest move in a battle between public health officials and anti-vaxxers who fear vaccines are dangerous. The bill, which eliminates the so-called personal beliefs exemption allowing parents to forego vaccinations if opposed to them for any reason, was introduced after a measles outbreak at Disneyland last year sickened more than 100 people. The personal beliefs exemption is endangering the public, said Democratic State Senator Richard Pan, a pediatrician and co-author of the bill. The measure still allows children to attend school without vaccinations for medical reasons. In recent years, vaccination rates at many California schools have plummeted as parents, some of whom fear a link between vaccines and autism, have declined to inoculate their children against such diseases as polio and measles.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With me today is Daniel McAdams. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
Well, good. There was an article this week that got a lot of attention because this famous non-libertarian governor of California decided he'd get into the practice of medicine and decided that their law on immunizations was much too lax. They actually allowed people. Of course, I don't believe the law should have existed, but the California law actually recognized that there could be some exemptions, for medical reasons or for personal beliefs. And this law repealed that and said, no more exemption. I am the king, I am the dictator, and this is what is done because it's irrefutable. The science is in, and everybody has to take these shots. Now, Jim Carrey, an actor, came forth and he volunteered his position, which I think is pretty accurate. He called the governor a corporate fascist because obviously corporations are involved in the drug industries and all. So this has stirred up a hornet's nest. There's already a referendum going on right now to try to repeal it. But to me, it seems like it might be a little bit too late. Why'd they elect this guy anyway? And why did the people do that? And when are they going to wake up? There's just so many people who can come to Texas. So but it's still something very worthwhile. And we have two things to deal with today. One is the medical issue, and the other is the rights issue. Who gets to make these decisions?
That's right. And you talked about how he signed this, but it's always about fear, isn't it? Never let a crisis go to waste. You were saying before the show, what put this forward?
Yeah, well, there was this tremendous epidemic, and nobody likes epidemics. And this epidemic broke out, I understand, at the amusement park
in California,
Disneyland. And people started getting measles. You're not supposed to get measles anymore. Of course, when I was growing up, everybody got the measles, and I think I had 4 of the childhood diseases in one year.
And you're still around.
Yeah. So, but no, they located that it actually was spread at Disneyland, and they decided, well, this is a crisis. 100 people got the disease, and
how many deaths?
Nobody died, but how many people might die from this? And that makes me recall about the swine flu vaccine that I voted against for the first month or so I was in Congress, where under Ford, we had to immunize against flu, and 2 of us in the Congress voted against this compulsory national immunization, another doctor and myself, Larry McDonald. And it turned out that more people nobody died from it was a farce. It was a false alarm. And there was never an epidemic. They gave these shots and more people died, of course, and a lot of other serious diseases from that.
From the shots,
yeah, from the shots. But the question is first, the medical question, and the second is the liberty issue. And I think I think medically there's a lot of arguments still going on what should be done. And I think that it's not hard and fast. It hasn't been settled. I think sometimes you hear that. There's absolutely no discussion on global warming. Yeah. Everybody knows the absolute facts, and if you don't, you're some sort of nut. Yeah. And they don't look at it. And this is the way this is. But the bigger question for me is, why do we allow our politicians to get involved and make major decisions like this? So I think that what we must do is, further the education. And there is a lot going on with the education of this, because there is a great deal of danger with these immunizations.
There's the perception that, you know, parents who decide not to do this are living in a cave somewhere, they can't read and write, you know, but I happen to know a lot of people that on the medical side have objections, and they research exhaustively. They research everything they can because they truly do care about their children. So I think it's very unfair to label these, but of course that's what you do when you want to demonize people.
Well, being in the medical profession, there was the temptation, and a lot of doctors still go along with this. They say, well, you know, it's been tested by the FDA, and the FDA has given a sign of approval. But the FDA is a menace. They for years have denied drugs from going on the markets that could have been helpful, and then they put them out in the market. And every night I see an ad on TV that somebody's going to get sued, which includes the doctors, for doing something the FDA said was safe and effective. So it's sort of like a moral hazard. Yeah. Oh, okay. The doctors say the FDA said this is okay. But over the years, I got more and more conservative about using new medications, and there have been so many of these medications, like that anti-inflammatory drugs, YAH. I mean, it was a deadly drug, and it finally got taken off the market. But it's back to ownership, our lives and our responsibility to our children, and it shouldn't be the government. But
next year, by the way, nearly all public school children in California will have to be vaccinated, with almost no excuses accepted there. Governor Jerry Brown has just signed a bill that imposes one of the nation's strictest school vaccination laws in the country. The measure was prompted by a measles outbreak at Disneyland back in December that sickened more than 100 people. Kids who are homeschooled or have a serious medical condition can be exempt, but a personal or religious exemption will not cut it there. Joining me now is Dr. Natalie Azar, Clinical Assistant Professor of Rheumatology at NYU Langone Medical Center, who is also an NBC News contributor. Doctor, good to see you here today.
Thank you, Richard.
Is this good?
This is a great thing. This is a great thing. I mean, look, we've gone from California, which is, you know, one of the most liberal states, right? We know that. To now not really conforming, but really sort of learning from experience, learning from their own history, and realizing that unless there was an intervention such as this, those pockets of unvaccinated groups were going to continue to pose a potential public health threat to the remaining citizens who are incapable or not candidates for the vaccine.
So we're seeing responses to this already, and we'll go to Jim Carrey, because evidently he's the arbiter of criticism when it comes to this. But Jim Carrey did tweet this, and he said, quote, California governor says yes to poisoning more children with mercury and aluminum in mandatory vaccines. This corporate fascist must be stopped. He stressed in another tweet that he's pro-vaccine but anti-neurotoxin. A lot being said in those two tweets. One of them, let's get down to that specifically, mercury and aluminum, are they in it and are they harmful?
They're not. They're not at levels that are deemed to be unsafe for people's consumption. And I think
okay, Hebrews. The last two segments were on Walmart, as well as the government of California forcing immunizations on the young, the infants, and they've done this and put this to those that go to public schools. So again, this affects a community of what they call the darkies, the niggas, the Negros, the slaves. So even though it has a ripple effect and spills over to other communities, there are more people of other nations that come over here that go to private schools that don't have to worry about that law that just got in place. We also saw a thing on Walmart on martial law, talking about the history of their owner, how he had set up concentration camps, had the whole back thing on it, as well as their connection with RFID chips. With all this being said, we looked at all this information, so when the Most High is speaking to us and telling us that we're blessed from reading the book of Revelations, telling us to be vigilant, to keep a watch out. These are the things that's going around in our life. There is a guaranteed fact. When you see what's happened in Switzerland and France and that CERN machine, they did go off the logo of 666. That they also have the God of uncreation outside their facility. Can't get away from those two known facts. That their name of their organization, CERN, stands for a European partnership. The other part of CERN, the Chinese thing, that's more of a different umbrella going towards the Chinese, but they use the same logo, same name. So we also see America make an agreement with CERN, and we also see for a fact more people where that business came into fruition and is working, operating daily. More people are chipped in that area than anywhere else in the world. So if they're getting in bed with that technology from over there, if they get in bed with that ideology from over there, then what you're putting inside your body can't be good. Now we also got to identify the clean and the unclean. And is it clean for you to let the FDA or any other beast part of the system govern what you put in your body? Again, these shots are mandatory, but we had the Tuskegee experiment. We saw what they did, mandatory vaccinations with our brothers and sisters in Alabama for, I think it was over 25 plus years. So we know for a fact there's nothing new underneath the sun. So when we read these words, we put them in context where the Most High wants to put in context. So now we're going to listen to Israel United in Christ. They're going to tell you the RFID chip thing is a hoax. It's not true. And some parts of their talking and speech, they'll also tell you that, if you need to get some food, that's the only way you can get it is by getting that chip. You better get that chip. So we're going to let them speak. I'm going to use exactly the same scriptures they use, but of course I'm going to use them in their entirety. I'm not going to pick and choose and then talk for about 15 minutes. I'm going to read the whole scripture and say what the Most High says. So with that, here is Israel United in Christ. I know I'm going to stop them at least twice just for y'all to understand or point out what this Hebrew is talking about. But for that, I'm going to let the majority of his video speak. With that, shalom. One more thing, Hebrews, before I turn over to Israel United in Christ. He did watch one video on Walmart, and the woman was talking. And I really want to make a differential between us and the heathens. Especially if in this hour you want to keep the commandments. At one point in the video, she was talking about some Muslim guy that got killed. She believed it's false. She believed that the government's telling lies and he got killed for different reasons. To me, I don't care. He deserved death because our commandment says thou shalt not murder. Now, the government lying on that, that's something else. Got to address it as it comes. The government do lie. That's a part of this beast system that we in. But him committing murder, he does deserve death for that offense. So when we get to talking and then different heathens say this, that, or the third, the things that we judge and we go off, it's got to be the commandments. That's the things that's trying to put us back to have the one mind with our Messiah. We don't add to it. We don't take away from it. We want to be on one page with our Abba because we love him. So, when we listen to these different heathens, they're not speaking with any authority that comes from our Father. they're speaking on how to make, like Donald Trump says, America great again. They might not have America great again the same way that racist devil Donald Trump does in his mind, but they got their own philosophy on what makes America great. And us as Hebrews, we're going to keep the commandments and we're going to follow the laws that's in this country, but we waiting for our Abba to return. We waiting for him to set up his kingdom and for us to go through judgment and us getting the crown of life if he deems us worthy for it. So that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Now, these are some Hebrew brothers. We're going to let them speak, and then we'll go through the word. Shalom.
We're going to stop all these dumb doctrines out here because I know some of y'all be window shopping. Y'all see that tag right there, right? Go up. It says, all European newborn babies will be microchipped from May 2014. Now, the idiot who claims to be a prophet read this article, closed the newspaper, and said to the brothers, God showed me something. The brother said, yep. What God show you? He said, God said, Europe is about to be microchipped in May 2014. What? He said it in February, right. Some of y'all up in here probably, although you haven't said it, probably was online going, yep. Let's read the article. On May 2014, through Europe, newborn children will be compelled to take I can't even read that word, subcutaneous RFID chip. Yep. Dun. Public clinics in the European Union are to be alerted. The chip in inquiry will be contributed with the report sheet on the newborn. This chip will also be impressive GPS sensor that will task with a micro disposable battery every 2 years in state clinics. GPS chip grants an edge of error of 5 meters as a statement that it is excellent. It will be linked straight to a satellite, which will guide the networks as forecast. This chip will be essential for all kids born after May 2014, but with a present confirmation date until December 2016. Now, some of y'all are here. Yep. Let's go to the next article. So once the brother prophesied, and a bunch of people on the internet was going, yeah. And it's funny because Brother Bakwash destroyed them with this, but I just thought it was so funny. Can you go big so I can see it? You know my sight is bad. Go up. Let me see the top of that thing. Top. Okay, all right. This is what is the first word, brothers? Hoax. All European newborn babies microchipped from May 2014 outline. Circulating report claims that from May 2014, all newborn babies born in Europe will be implanted with that word again, subcutaneous RFID chip that will include a GPS that can be linked to a satellite. So it came out later on that was a hoax. It was a hoax. Was there more on that? Okay, brief analysis. The claims in the report are absurd, nonsense, with not even a grain of truth. One version of the report was published on News, N-U-O-O-Z. That's where you get all the stupid reports on that site. It's a satire website, a European website that specializes in publishing false information disguised as news. Top Info Post, another site that perpetrates fictional nonsense presented as fact, also picked up the story. The silly hoax has reawakened equally silly conspiracy theories that have claimed for years that the United States government was planning on microchipping its citizens. Now, when you brothers are that foolish that you will listen to a man reading what was the word? A satirical hoax article, then he won't tell you where he got it from. He says, God showed him. And you follow, yep. Can we get the scripture on that? Give me Deuteronomy 18 and 22. Deuteronomy 18 and 22. Standing on 34th Street and 7th talking about the Lord showed me in a vision. Or I'm only paraphrasing. But then they're nuts. They yup say, did he say in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai? Because if he didn't use those two names, he was just playing. That lie the devil is. Liars. Give me that. You got it, Isaac?
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 22. When a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass.
We in June. Ain't no microchips. It's June. Go ahead.
That is the thing which the Lord hath not spoken.
That is the thing which the Lord hath not spoken. Read.
But the prophet hath spoken it presumptuously. Thou shalt not be afraid of him.
Thou shalt not be afraid of him. He speaks presumptuously. Get me Jeremiah 14:14. Y'all keep listening to these people. Jeremiah 14:14.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 14 and verse 14. Then the Lord said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name.
Go ahead.
I sent them not.
God said, I sent them not. The Lord don't care if you stand on that damn dirty corner for 30 years. He didn't send you. Go ahead.
Neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught, and the deceit of their heart.
Do you hear what God says? All we could do is give y'all the scriptures. You choose not to listen. You running around yep about some foolish chip stuff. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Okay, Hebrews. This is the first stop. And when I'm doing this, I'm going to try to be as respectful as possible to the men that's teaching. One, because I don't want to be a stumbling block that people or Hebrews believe that these men have helped them and helped their families and loved ones come out of darkness into the marvelous light. You know, some people believe that with all their heart. And I don't want this to be something where we're finding contention with each other's words, but more importantly, make the Most High true and every other man a lie. We want to do this, or I know I want to do this, so the Most High can be elevated and the nation of Israel can be edified. So with that being said, so the brothers talking in the get-go about quote-unquote false prophet. And I have no idea who he's talking about. You know, it's unfortunate, and it's one of those things, Hebrews, that need a bigger backbone. We need to call a spade a spade. I'm talking about Brother Nathaniel and his teaching and all the other Hebrews that are along with him, that this thing they're coming out with right now is a false teaching. It's a bad doctrine, and it's not coming from any Ruach. So the Spirit didn't lead him into this. So because this one brother who remained nameless is a false prophet, he came up with a lie. Now this is the thing about the RFID chip. Now everything surrounded by it is a lie. Also, when we're looking at this, the Hasatan and his ministers, they masquerade as angels of light. So you're going to get plenty of lies mixed with truth. That's a part of this walk. That's why we need discernment. But just to go off what he said, we looked at information that can be verified, that can be quantified, of people getting RFID chip in America, as well as other places on this planet. He also were using scriptures about a false prophet. And that's a reason why you shouldn't listen to this man. He gave a false prophecy. Brother Nathaniel is sitting up there speaking. You have other Hebrews that have fellowship with him and also heard his word say that he also gave out a false prophecy before. It's saying that our Messiah was coming back at a particular time and date. Now, if this is true, I don't know if he's repentant from it. If it's not true, then again, you should come up and clear your good name. With all that being said, this is why I stopped the video. When we get into the Most High's words about, is it a nation or a people? Is this going to affect you eating or not? That is the topic. Talking about another person and proving that they gave a false prophecy, that is a different topic. You got people like Sales that shake their head up and down and say amen because they can see something that's tangible in front of them. But when we start talking about the word of the Most High on a particular topic, we're supposed to stay on that topic. Precept upon precept upon precept, line upon line upon line. I'll find a little there and I'll find a little here. So if I'm talking about the mark of the beast, something that's going to affect all mankind, then I need to find my scriptures from Genesis, from the prophets, from the gospel, from the Acts, as well as the epistles, and then I can back it up with my Messiah's revelation that he gave to all Hebrews. On that topic, unfortunately, when people are teaching, they'll go on one precept, which is a principle. A principle is the idea or the information that needs to get conveyed on a particular one subject. And again, they start off with somebody proving he's a false prophet. So now that this man is a lie, now we can look at the word and say what he's saying. That part of the word is not true unless you interpret it his way. So that's why I stopped. I want you to understand that. And that goes for a lot of teachers in the house of Israel. A lot of teachers. That's the reason why they can say one-line words and go off and not give the whole scripture in the book because they're leaning onto their own understanding. So we've seen RFID chips. We've seen information given towards them. We've seen how active they are in the world right now. And these are like birth pains, Israel. And what does that mean? These things will increase. And this is very important too. Judgment. Judgment. Always start with the house of Israel first. So with that, and understand this thing that Most High is putting down on us, the famine, the pestilence, the earthquake, all these things are the Most High's judgment. These are the part of the trumpets. So with that, we're going to let the Israel United in Christ get back to their teaching. And I'm letting the whole video play. But I wanted to stop that. And again, when we get into the word about the mark of the beast and how it's going to affect everybody on the planet, understand this one thing don't have nothing to do with the other. All right. Shabbat Shalom.
It says here, they prophesy unto you a false vision and what else? And divination. What is divination? That's witchcraft.
You are being bewitched through naughtiness. Back to Wisdom of Solomon 4 and 12. That's witchcraft. That doctrine is pure sorcery. That's what it is. All right?
Exactly. They have now. Solomon posted something on GroupMe about in the school system. They want to put RFID chips on what would it say, Solomon? It said on merchandise. Y'all see these scanners, these things they got now? Barcodes and all that? This is what it's talking about, barcodes, and they're trying to make them electronic. Do you think, you know how many people are not letting their kids get vaccinated in these days now? Y'all aware of that? Can you imagine if they say, well, now we're going to put a RFID chip in your right hand or your forehead? You know what kind of uproar it'd be throughout the country? And the scripture says that no man, because that's where they go, no man can buy or sell. What did the Bible say they would be buying and selling? What did the Bible say would be bought and sold? Let's get Revelation 18 real quick. I ain't going to stay on this too long because it's stupid and we've discussed it before. I'm just humor me. You brothers with simple. Start at verse 11. Revelation 18 and 11, please.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore.
So it's talking about buying and selling. When you read Revelation 13, it says if you don't got the chip, and the word chip ain't in there, thank you. It says if you don't have the mark or the name of the beast, you cannot buy or sell. This is what Revelation 18 is talking about. Now let's see what it's talking about buying and selling. Read down.
The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all fine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men.
And slaves and slaves and slaves. You would be buying and selling slaves. That's not talking about you Negroes in the ghetto. That ain't, you are the slaves. We're the slaves. But you got these idiots, I'm going to call them what they are. These monthly prognosticators talking about if you don't got the chip, you can't buy or sell. Buy or sell what? Snickers bar. This ain't talking about a Snickers bar. This ain't talking about Converse or Nikes. This is talking about big business here.
Where's the Negroes' big business to sell anything?
Right. Read verse 15, please.
Verse 15. The merchants of these things, which were made rich
Which were made what?
Which were made rich.
So when you're buying and selling, it's talking about being made rich. That ain't the Negro in the ghetto. You ain't buying or selling nothing to become rich. Stop letting these knuckleheads fool y'all.
Negroes have no factories or nothing. What in the world is a Negro selling?
Give me another word for buying and selling. One word. Trade. It's talking about trade. Commerce. That's what it's talking about. Y'all let these knuckleheads on YouTube, they are like Elder Kenai said, they are the underbelly of all Israel. The underbelly.
Right. Again, Elder, when you look at the United Nations and you have all those nations sitting down in there, those nations, they have trade.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 through 7. Trust in Yah with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thy own eyes. Fear Yah and depart from evil. So, just reading this, don't be wise in what you have made rationalized in your own head. If the Most High say all men, it's all men. If he say merchants, if you any type of merchant, you fall in that category. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Okay, Hebrews. For the life of me, Israel, I don't understand how some of you people could even listen to these brothers. But I'm going to continue. This is the second stop. And this stop, they read Revelations 18. I'm going to jump to the end of the stuff they talked about just to show that it's lies mixed with truth, and it's an out and out shame. So they said, first of all, they said buying and selling, and they said slaves and Negroes. The slaves and Negroes, the people in the ghetto, they ain't buying and selling nothing. This don't have nothing to do with the mark of the beast and able to get you food. So let's look at this. Let's dump into that first. So when Trump and Sessions were elected, private prison industries, their stock value increased by 75%. What does that mean with black people being able to buy and sell, people in the ghettos? So we're going to, again, show this down and research this out so we'll know exactly what we're dealing with, Zion. So these picture right here you're looking up is the CCA board. This is their executive leadership. Starting all the way to your far left, you got Todd J. Mellinger, Steve E. Groom, Harley G. Lappin, Tony L. Grandy, and Brian D. Collins. Brian D. Collins, you see him, he's the only Hebrew up on the board. Could be a Hamite, I don't know. But CCA and GEO Group, what we're going to talk about right now real quick, they are the biggest private industry as far as prison systems go. They are locking up and benefiting, making merchandise and more money off the Hebrews in the prison than anybody else. You see a Hebrew right there. Another one that invests in private prisons go by the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Michael Jordan. He also invests in prison systems. Who's another one? Thurgood Marshall Jr. Thurgood Marshall Jr. The Supreme Court Justice baby boy. So he invests in the prisons. We got some old white people named Henry Waddell, Gregory Zoli, Jerry Minich, and Matt Zerverich. These people they make billions off the private industry. These are all Caucasians. We saw 3 black males that I've already mentioned. But these men right here make a whole bunch of money off it. But let's go even in depth. Now we're going to read how it actually affects, as they say, the Negroes in the ghetto. The CCA executives own a fair amount of stock too, usually as part of their compensation packages. Though their stock ownership pales in comparison to that of institutional investors. The CCA board members Joseph V. Russell owned 306 shares as of February 2015, while the company CEO Damon Hinger owned 181,833 shares, and that's March 16, 2015. The CCA board member Thurgood Marshall Jr., son of the late U.S. Supreme Court Justice and FBI informant, owned 42,391 shares as of March 30, 2015. Harley P. Lappin, former director of the Bureau of Prisons, hired by the CCA shortly after he retired from BOP, owned just over 70,000 shares. Now, when we look at this, there's a group. It's called the Vanguard Group Incorporated. It's also the largest institutional investor in GEO Group, owning 11.43 million shares. The Vanguard owns another 5.5 million shares through its specialized REIT fund. So the Vanguard Group owns this. The GEO Group top 10 industrial holders, including mutual funds, own around 37.4 million shares, close to 50% of the company's total issued stock. GEO executives with significant stock ownership include CEO George Zoli, who owned, again, 193,000 shares. And it goes down to name all these different people in the GEO board. But what you need to know, a number of your public employee retirement systems are invested in both CEA and GEO Group. So if you got any 401k, the majority of 401k pension plans And the United Murderers of America, who's gaining stock under Trump's ass, is invested in prison systems. And get this too. You have some young Hebrews. I guess these brothers don't pay attention to the news or don't do any kind of reading. You have some young Hebrews that had UCLA, University of California, pull out of a $25 million. They had that many shares invested in the private corporations. They put a negative light on them. But most of the people that are counting on their 401k, they're benefit off our brothers and sisters being locked up. And again, that's part of what? Buying and selling. But we're going to go on. In the beginning of his thing, he said it's a vaccine uproar. He said, just think about how many people can't stand. They showed a little black kid too. Made me laugh. Are fighting not to get vaccines. He said, you know how much of an uproar these people are going to get when they get that chip? Right now in the United States of America, there's so many people getting the chip because they want to. They're not being forced to do it whatsoever. These people want to. They want the tattoos, the bulls. These people are getting chips and they having chip parties for it. Continuing though. I showed you the video again of the Governor Brown that made the most aggressive vaccine law ever known on mankind. The United Murderers of America and other states are following suit. But he said there'll be an uproar. But that's what's going on right now. Again, let the Most High be true. And this man is a straight up ass liar. But we'll keep going. His bad spirit even came out on, no, I can buy and sell. What is wrong with Hebrews? We show reverence to our Father's word. The reason why it said no one will buy or sell is because that is what the word says. Now we're going to look at the merchants of the earth. Because it says the merchants of the earth going to wax rich off the things Babylon and all these other nations have done. So when we're looking at this word, we see all these famous black people who have businesses, who are merchants, who are making money off the house of Israel and the people in the ghettos. A lot of these famous people, you see their pictures coming up, came straight out of the ghettos. And again, you must be somewhat confused because even Hitler knew this. Hitler said in his book, Mein Kampf, which means my struggle, that America got the jewels of the earth, talking about the Hebrew Israelites inside their captivity. If he knew we were Jews, why don't you, Negro? Understand this again. We make more investments, creations, building of this country than any other nation all put together. Our music, the way we act, the way we build, all this stuff was built from the ground up, tore up from the floor up from us. Yes, we are still merchants and still creating on this land. So we're going to go to Revelations 18:11. And the merchant earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. So this says no man. He, at the end of his thing, said this just meant big business and trade. So again, stop, Hebrews. Is your father correct or this man? Because he gave us what the definition of man was when he made Adam. Now, verse 12. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood and all manners of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of precious wood and of brass and iron and marble. So this is the stuff that we cannot buy or sell. So can you get a car made out of all this stuff that's making? Yes. So you ain't going to be able to get a car under what the Most High is talking about. How about some good jewelry? All that bling bling that the rappers and people and women and stuff are putting on, what they trying to do to get into the nightclub, what they doing to get in their church, the little things they have around their necks, the crosses with the Messiah, white Jesus crucified them, you ain't gonna be able to get that either. Those are the precious stones and the pearls. It says fine linen, so you ain't gonna get no bed sheets. You ain't gonna be able to sleep in your bed, your mattress, the silk, the scarlet, wood. Now you're talking about homes. Now you're talking about jobs. Now you're talking about anything that's constructed with wood and cement. All vessels of ivory. Now we'll continue. Verse 13. And cinnamons and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil. I'm going to stop right there. Then I'll continue. Now this is talking about anything you have to do with medicine. You got diabetes, cinnamon help. If you got a pill like aspirin or any other kind of medication they make, it's made out of these things. It's listed right here, Hebrew. I'm sorry you don't know this. These are all the things that we do in everyday living. If you got some kind of affliction, if you got some form of pestilence that the Most High has put on you, most of the time they give you an ointment for your itch so you can scratch it. But these are the things the Most High is saying you cannot buy or sell. Fine flour and wheat. That is food all by itself. You like pasta? You ain't getting that. You want to fry some chicken? You ain't getting that. You ain't getting a frying pan to put the chicken in. You ain't getting a stove made out of iron that has the gas electricity run into it to cook the food, to have the flour of the food. And beasts. There go FIFO. There go the kitties. There go the dogs. There goes again. Things you eat. And sheep. And horses. And chariots. We already talked about cars. Slaves and souls of men. On the Sabbath day. It tells you clearly from the Most High that you cannot compel your maidservant or your manservant to work on the Sabbath day unless he assumes that is going all the way back to the past. That's anyone that you hire to do work for you. That's even tomorrow, next week. Most High willing, we here at this time. That's slaves and souls of men. But I already went in detail about people that actually own out slaves and making money off slaves right then and there. So, this picture you're looking up right here, he said, not even a Snickers bar. He said, this thing is not talking about a Snickers bar. Right there in the company that's starting the RFID chip craze over here in America, that's got their tentacles in every state in the United States, 3 Square Market. The biggest vending machines and aspect of food you're talking about, right there in the left-hand corner is a Snickers bar. This man is scanning with an RFID chip to purchase if he likes. Again, lean not to your own understanding. You've seen what understanding he went to immediately to try to convey this. But again, doesn't all this stuff of iron and stuff make up your stove? What about brass? The stuff you have in your home to put on countertops, etc., etc., etc. At this point, from all the stuff you've seen, you should know this man is teaching has not one yet studied to show himself approved. Because the stuff I'm showing you is readily easy. It just takes some time. You're supposed to labor in this. These Negroes ain't laboring nothing but pride. Alright, now we're going to let the rest of them talk. And then when we get to the next thing in Revelations, I'm going to break it down, starting up a little bit higher than what this Hebrew that's teaching that should not be teaching. I'm going to start up and show you out of his own words how he goes directly against the Most High, and what the Most High is saying is different from what he's trying to break down to. Don't got nothing to do with no trade service and embargoes and crap like that. It says all men. Here goes these Negroes speaking. Shalom.
They can trade among each other. Ain't no Negroes, so-called Negroes, Puerto Ricans sitting up in there.
Exactly.
They're not trading anything, so they can't sell anything.
Now, real quick.
Do y'all understand what I mean by that?
Elder, before you move on, because you said you made a point that to just humor the elder for a minute, because we know that this is foolishness.
Right.
But there was a scripture that he pulled about the bewitching and the fear that they put on you guys.
Right.
In the bewitching, they instill fear in you. Because there's a video that he put where he asked his men to explain what is the hour of temptation. Y'all brothers saw that? Okay? Where he was saying that the hour of temptation is when the microchip is being distributed. There's no scripture that says that in the entire Bible. When you look up the hour, anytime an hour is speaking in the scriptures of something to happen, what does it go into? Who knows? In 1 hour, it speaks about what? Destruction. Look up everything that speaks about an hour coming. We're in that hour when the destruction is going to happen. We're going to be in temptation, wondering if we're going to be taken or not, based on our righteousness when we're on this earth. But he got his men explaining one by one, because he commands them all like zombies to do videos. And his explanation for that hour of temptation that Christ spoke about, where he said that he'll watch over us, is that you're going to be faced with the option of you got to take the chip. You see how stupid that is? But because he has those men like zombies and in fear, they're listening to him.
Exactly.
Because the only hour that you read about here is that hour when the destruction comes, that it reads about in Revelation 18, where the Most High is going to take us up before the destruction.
Hey,
okay?
Hey, real quick. The hour temptation for him is when preschool get let out. That's the hour temptation.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. I gotta make it to 4. Just gotta make it to 4. Perv.
Get me Revelation 13 and 17.
The book of Revelation.
Abiel, give me the next article. Pay attention.
Chapter 13 and verse 17.
Right.
And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Now, it said that no man, talking about nations of men, won't be able to trade, would not be able to trade. When you look up the United States embargoes, who implements embargoes? You have the United States, you have the European Union, you have NATO. As of 2014, there are several United States embargoes and sanctions enforced by the United States against several countries and activities, the most notable of which are against countries the federal government of the United States considers state sponsors of terrorism. Let's go down. Okay. Some sanctions imposed by the United States government are no arms related exports, meaning you cannot, if you're making a warhead, you cannot export that. That country cannot export that. Controls over dual use exports, restrictions on economic assistance, meaning the government will not aid them or help them.
Like they're doing in Russia now.
Right, like they're doing in Russia, thank you. Financial restrictions, requiring the United States to oppose loans by the World Bank and other international financial. See, this is talking about big stuff. This is not talking about a Negro in Harlem or the ghetto, I want to buy a Snickers bar. Y'all let these idiots fool y'all. The Bible's talking about countries and nations of people. You know, let's go down.
You can't get no milk, you ain't got no chip.
Yeah. Come on.
You know how hard it would be to monitor millions of people like that? And the store owners to tell the store owners, check if they got the chip before you sell them the milk. You see how stupid that sounds? This guy's a moron. Check if they got the chip before you get the bread. No business will be able to flourish.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Now, they explain the different embargoes and the various sanctions. 1997, they did one in Burma. Sanctions severely restricted trade. See the word trade, buying and selling, between Burma and the United States. We'll go to the next one. Cuba, a very long-running series of sanctions that restrict almost all trade and travel between the two countries, dating from the Cold War and the Cuban Missile Crisis. 1979, Iran, near total economic embargo on all economic activities, including a ban on all Iranian imports, sanctions on Iranian financial institutions, as well as restrictions on the sale of aircraft and repair parts, as well as arms embargoes, meaning weapons. Go down. Okay, they got North Korea. Severe sanctions due to human rights abuses by North Korea and the North Korean nuclear program. North Korea and the U.S. have no diplomatic relations. Sudan. Sanctions due to criticism of Sudan's human rights record as well as Sudanese support for the Iraq invasion of Kuwait. Let me go down. Syria. Reasons for sanctions include Syria's poor human rights record, the present civil war, as well as Syria's classification by the U.S. as a state sponsor of terrorism. Now, Isaac, go back to that verse again.
Revelation chapter 13 and verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
If you are not in league with the American government, if you're not on hold of their policies, give me some words, help me out there. Their policies, there's some other words I want. They're democratic. They're not necessarily democratic, because some of the countries are not democratic, but they agree with certain things. They have their traditions, give me some other word. Politics, I like that word. But if you're not in agreement with it, America, NATO, EU has the power to put embargoes and sanctions on you. That's what this is talking about. This identifies who the damn devil is. You walking around looking for one man is it Ronald Reagan? Check his head for 3 6s. You're an idiot. It's not talking about that.
Elder, even like we were saying when we explained to you that the mark of the beast is sin, you have to agree with America to conspire to do whatever sins they want you to commit for you to be lucrative, to get rich. That's why it speaks when they destroy America in Revelation 18 that the people who are in league with them are going to be weeping because they will not be able to make any more money. Proof of that, watch the end of poverty. The way that they make their money with these other countries, where they set up their business, they set up their corporations. The sin is the people, the indigenous people, they are harmed. Okay, they make it so that they can't make money. But the corporations that go in league with them to make money, they thrive and they prosper. How they destroy Brazil, how they destroy Peru. It was all sin, Bolivia. Okay, these corporations had to lay down with America in sin to prosper.
Right.
Not no damn chip that they put in you.
Exactly. Jump up to the verse above it. I want the one in Revelation 19 also. Isaac, you got it, Captain?
Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
So read it again.
And he causeth all, both small and great.
Meaning small nations and great nations. Read.
Rich and poor.
Rich nations, like they call America the free world. Europe is called the free world. Then it says, and poor. What's a poor nation? Third world countries. Third world, they call it. Go ahead.
Free and bond.
This is the free world. That's what I was saying a few seconds ago. The free world. And poor, going back to the third world countries. Go ahead.
To receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
So now the idiot says, well, how do you know this is nations and kingdoms? Go to Revelation 19. Start at 18.
Revelation 19, verse 18. That ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men.
Right. No. Read. Just keep reading. Just read it. Keep reading again.
That ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great.
So what is this talking about? Nations. Nations of people. That's what it's talking about. Nations that at one time did buying and trade with Babylon the Great. Yes, Isaac, Captain.
I could bring out a scripture real quick.
Yeah.
It's about the buying and selling. It shows you that if these nations are not in league with America, that's why they get the embargo. All right? Sirach 27 and verse 2. It says, as a nail sticketh fast between the joinings of the stones, so doth sin stick close between buying and selling.
Exactly. Wickedness, evil. So I hope you brothers understand. That's just in brief. We did a whole video on it. Go on our website. It's on there. We ain't going to spend too much time on this foolishness because we've already discussed it and gone over it. You still running around looking. So what if I get the chip in my left butt cheek? What happens then? They got to scan my butt.
Hey, and one other thing. The reason why we got to keep addressing this foolishness, okay, because we're not entertaining. They brag exclusivity that they're the only ones that talk about the chip. They're the only one, and they are right. They are the only ones that talk about the chip.
Alex Jones, the white man.
They got it from Alex Jones, who's been talking about it since early 1980s.
Yep.
When I was in high school, they was talking about this chip. There were people passing out pamphlets in the subway about this stupid chip. Okay, but understand, they claim exclusivity about this chip. They are the only ones that talk about the chip, the chip, the chip. Christ had the same problem when he was trying to teach the people righteousness, to get right, to connect with the Lord. You had wicked leaders teaching doctrines that they were the only ones teaching. And look what Christ said. Just give me Luke chapter 7, verse 31. He asked a question. And I'm going to show you how this goes exactly with what's going on today. Because for every time a group wants to push some doctrine, they claim exclusivity and they exalt themselves above everybody else.
The book of Luke, chapter 7 and verse 31. And the Lord said, whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation?
Whereunto shall we liken these idiots? Read on.
And to what are they like?
What are they like? Why are they doing? We are the only ones with the chip. We are the only ones that talk about sleeping with little girls. Read on.
They are like unto children, sitting in the marketplace, and calling one to another, and saying, we have piped unto you, and ye have not danced.
We not dancing with them. We stick in what Christ says to teach the people, to heal them and to gather them together. So they constantly keep throwing these things out to see if we're going to, because they say it. The only way that we can get right is to start teaching what they teach. Fall in line with their wickedness. Read it again.
We have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept.
We ain't feeling sorry for them. They're in wickedness and they need to repent. Okay? At the end of the day, they try to get all other camps to follow the nonsense they're following. But all praises, you other camps are on your P's and your Q's, and you're not falling for that foolishness.
Exactly.
That was the last part of Israel United in Christ teaching. Now I'm going to go into the Word. We're going to do Revelations 18. As always, we pray to the Father. Hopefully we have understanding and that only His words will speak. With that, we're actually doing Revelations 13, starting with verse 1. And it reads, And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So we look at the first 2 verses of Revelation 13. A beast is a government, as a vision that was explained to Daniel. And he said he saw him come out to sea. That's the multitude of people that you have on this planet, having 7 heads and 10 horns. That defies the people and governments that are running this system. Now, this government, which he saw, he described as a leopard, a bear, and a lion. A leopard which devours and eats quickly, pounces. A bear with his feet is explaining the power that it goes when it crushes its might as it moves forward. And a lion, Judah is a lion's whelp. Our roar of our lion of Judah is heard to all 4 corners of the earth. And if you have any doubt of that, you see in this hour. As the nation of Judah is crying out in this hour, There's other nations that are practicing the law, statutes, and commandments. There are Hebrews in Africa, in different countries there that's practice the law, statutes, and commandments. There's some in England, China, but none of them are roaring like the lion's whelp out of Judah. And when we look at this scripture right here, we see the brutality and the power that this government will have. And he would have his power from the dragon. And again, we know the dragon being that old serpent, the devil, the one that we trace back from the word that was in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. Let's continue with the read. Revelations 13, verse 3. And it reads, "And I saw one of his heads, as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" So these two verses are explaining things we see as well as emotions and feelings that's going to be going on at the time. When we see this beast get wounded, could it be Vatican City that got to move to Israel because the Most High sent an earthquake, a volcano? Could it be that another country attacks the beast thinking they destroyed it but end up losing? We know for a fact that the world will see something happen to this nation. And we're going to wonder if this nation still has its authority, still has its power, what is going on. But we know for a fact at this time, other than the remnant and the elect, they will be worshiping the beast, that dragon's Hasatan, Satan. The one that tells you, if you do this thing, you won't die. The dragon that spoke in the Garden of Eden, that told lies, that said, when the Most High told you, you will die from this, you won't die. So when the Most High tells you to keep the dietary law, this dragon that people worship will be saying, no, you don't have to. You don't have to keep his commandments. If you want to sleep with that dog or that cat or that horse or that bull that's in the corner, have at it. If we want to have sex, if we want to have sex trafficking, if we want to have open things in front of people can see man and female, let's have at it. They will be worshiping that dragon. Unfair justice will be around the land, just like the Most High's always explained it will be. But it'll be to the level that is unbearable. And then people are going to be say, who is like the beast? That's that speculation. Then they're going to be like, who can defeat this? Some will say in their heart, in their mind, no one can make war with this thing. We better get in to fit in. And this is not governments. These are individual people that are thinking about who is going to be able to stop this, and they can't, so we might as well do it. Let's continue. We're in the book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 5, and it reads, "And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So once this beast is identified, we know for a fact it's going to have an end time. We also know for a fact that means Hasatan is in full authority and making his thing and his last push to try to defeat our Abba. We also know for a fact it's closer for our Abba coming back. Our remnant, the elect, will see these things and we will take comfort in it in that hour, at that time. Now, giving him to speak great things of blasphemies, just like the Pope is right now. He says that he's the vicar of Christ. That means he's the anointed one on earth. He says he has the power to forgive sin. He says that LGBT or being gay is okay. These are great blasphemies. When the Most High says, don't make any image in the heaven above or the earth below, even in the sea, this man is saying you can make an image of me, fake Mary, a baby, and do as you like, because I give you permission for this. I decide if you can play music in your assembly there or not. These are great blasphemies. Blaspheming the name of the Most High because he's the only one that can command your church, your tabernacle, your temple, and that is you. Let's pick up at verse 6, Revelation chapter 13, and it reads, and he opened his mouth and blasphemed against Yah, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And the power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So again, we'll stop. He will blaspheme his name. And we're not talking about Yahweh Shah or Jesus or whatever these people get so upset about. His name is the volume of the book. He's going to be talking about the saints that passed away, Moses, Abraham. He's going to be talking about Israel itself. He's going to even talk about the heavens where our Father resides, telling you that he won't be coming back. That the word itself somehow is fake. And he will make war with the saints. This is anyone that want to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. Anyone that want to behave like Lot did in Sodom and Gomorrah. Anyone that wanted to be righteous when we dwelt in the land of Israel. Anyone that has, since the time they've been scattered, believed and relied on the Most High. See, he is going to make war with you. And as the Most High say, overcome. He's going to be wearing saints out. But again, we will know his time is running short when we see these things coming to pass. And this will affect, as the word says in verse 7, all kindreds. That is any kind of human being that's on this planet. And tongues. That's anybody on this planet that speaks French, parlez-vous français, Mexican or Spanish, habla español, or Hebrew, shalom, aquí, Latin, veni vici vici, Chinese, ni hai. Whatever tongue you can think of. This beast, given the authority from Hasatan himself, will be putting these people under siege. So no matter how you say hallelujah, and if you're keeping these commandments, he's going to be coming for you. And nations. So there is no place. Can you hear this, Diggy Shepherd? There is no place in this world you're going to be able to run to that Hasatan, Satan, that old dragon, ain't going to be making war at. That's every nation that's on the planet. So where you going to run to? Where are you going to hide at? This is the time once again, just like Jericho. You're going to have some faith. continue with the read. Revelation 13, verse 8, and it reads, "And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear." So, the one we're talking about, as you see in 1 Corinthians 10, that lets you know in Numbers 21 that they're talking about that same Messiah. In English tongue, that same Jesus. In Hebrew, that same Yeshua that was with them in the wilderness. As you see in John 8:51, when he tells them, before Abraham was, I am. The same one that was a friend to Abraham. The same one when King David said, my Lord said to my Lord. This is the one they're talking about from the foundation of the world. That from the help of his father learned and did as he was taught to speak this world into existence. That's the name that you need to be following the entirety of the book. And when you give up your ghost, even if it's before our Abba comes back, you better hope your name is written in the book of life. The book of Revelations, chapter 1. It starts off by telling you, before you die, make sure you're found in the right church. Don't find yourself at odds with our Creator. With that being said, let's continue with the read. Revelation 13, verse 10. And it reads, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So that's a mouthful. America led us into captivity. So at some point they will have to go into captivity. Every nation that has done that type of wickedness will have some recompense against it. Every individual that have done that to other individuals will have that paid back to them. Anyone that has killed with the sword, the ones that killed Michael Brown, the ones that killed Trayvon Martin, the ones that killed Sandra Bland, the ones that killed our little brother Tamir Rice. See, all of them that killed them with the sword must be killed with the sword. As I did a lesson just a little far back, talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center and YouTube, and how they put us on the same watch if you're a Hebrew Israelite with the KKK. See, they have killed with the sword. We cry out every day because of what they did, but we must have patience. You can't take the Most High's glory from him and try to get these people back. And they're not getting off easy, because all those ones I've named that took life unjustly, that's who they're teaching the same killing techniques to their children. They're passing down the same laws from generation to generation, from generation. And the United Murders of America, with their Constitution and their amendments, they haven't changed. But while you're in this kingdom the Most High put you in, you gotta have patience and faith, because he's going to pay them back double of what they did to us. Now, let's continue with the read. We're in the book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb. And he spake as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So we're going to stop here. So as all hell is breaking loose, Hasatan is rocking this thing like there is no tomorrow. His doctrine has gone out. He's put a whole nation out there. That nation was shaken, wounded somehow, be it be from the Father and his power, or from another nation. But the Most High is going to make sure this wound is seen from this first beast and everybody see it. Then another beast is coming. To exercise all the power of the first beast. That means he's going to be able to destroy people and rip them to shreds like a leopard would. Stalking them, hunting them and having no mercy. He's also going to have the power to tread you down underfoot. That means when his nation comes with that power and authority, if you stand in there, you'll be crushed. You'll be killed. It's stomping the twigs and the things underneath its feet. And when its roar comes, it will be heard from everybody that's in that land. But the first beast, its wound will be healed. Again, could it be like the Vatican gets destroyed in Italy? The Most High shakes them up with so many earthquakes that Italy doesn't stand no more, and they move their butts to Jerusalem, the new capital. Who knows? No one knows, for example, for sure. But the Most High is going to give us signs, and he's not going to do nothing without letting his people know first. Now we in verse 13. And it reads, He doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had a wound by a sword and did live. Now, we see verse 13 and 14. And this fire that comes down could be like an atom bomb. Could be like a nuclear weapon. Could be something that Trump dropped when he first got in office. And this power and this thing they see, it will see them that dwell on the earth. They will see miracles and signs and wonders and his power, and they're going to be like, man, this is it. This is moon landing part 2. This ain't nothing more powerful than this nation that ever existed. Now, here it tells us in verse 14 that the wound that this beast takes in the first nation, from the first thing, is going to be from the sword. Again, from some kind of weapon. So we know that this beast, again, could it be America? That great whore Babylon. Everybody thinks it's defeated and destroyed. And the whole world is wondering about, is America really gone? But it'll rise out the ashes. Again, we don't know for sure, but if you have patience, the Most High is going to reveal these things to you. But we do know for a fact that they'll make an image to this beast. Just like we seen on the CERN, the 666. That's their image. Everybody that got chipped, the RFID chip that's affiliated with CERN inside their body got something to do with their CERN logo. The 3 squares. The one that's chipping their employees in America. Everything that's inside their chip has something to do with their authority and power. So whatever image this beast makes, be it be a chip or anything else, if it goes inside your body, it's going to have a part of this image in there. Because that's the same thing we seen every day right now. And there's nothing new underneath the sun. If Taiwan was an authority and that was the image of this beast, our chips would have made in Taiwan. Continue with the read. We're in verse 15. Revelations, book 13. And it reads, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right. So there's an image of the beast, part of this government. And let's get this straight. Was Adam, because of sin, was that called him worshiping the beast? I don't see that anywhere in the word. How about Israel? When it tells you in Hebrews 3, go into Hebrews 4, don't die for a lack of faith like they did in the wilderness. They were worshiping the beast. It doesn't say that nowhere. How about Daniel? When he was given a vision of the beast. All the different levels and all the different kingdoms that it represented. Israel was taken into captivity at that time. Was there anywhere in the world the word where it says they were worshiping the beast, so we took them out? The beast is that government. The beast is going to be getting this authority directly from that old serpent, the devil, called a dragon. And he's going to make an image. The Most High tells you, and this is something that's so wrong with our Hebrew brothers. They want to put, they call it the shield of David, a star on them. They want to put a cross on them. I got one brother just the other night talk about, I just got a menorah on my head. What's wrong with that? What part of the commandment the Father says that don't make any graven images you Negroes just can't understand? We're supposed to be a light unto the world. When someone looks at us, they're supposed to be seeing the image of our Father, our Abba. He left us an example to follow. Where do you see in the word other than him wearing his tassels that we got all this crap that he was putting on? Why can't you just be a light? Why can't, when someone look at you, they see the Ruach dwelling in you? That your radiance is so blinding because you want to serve the Most High that it is frightening to them. Not that you come up and look like some Kung Fu soldier. So again, when we look at this, this will be an image. And this image, if you're not keeping this image, you're not doing the things that it tells you to do. That is part of worship. If you're not keeping its appointed times, if you're not letting people do their type of sex they want to do, you could be killed. This will be a death sentence. And this image is going to be doing things that you can physically see as well as speaking. This image will have life. This image will cause people to buy and to sell. This image, as the Most High would tell us, we need to be set apart from the world. It's going to definitely set you apart from anyone that wants to be Israel and keep these commandments. Let's continue with the read. Now we're in verse 16. Revelation 13. And in Revelation, the book 13, verse 16, it reads, "And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." So in this part, that Hebrew that lacks understanding, but y'all have some nice outfits. That one picture I got y'all with that gold in, that's tight. But you got no understanding. The one that want to have you run Purple Rain and have their videos up with them with Freemason signs. He says, and he calls us all. But he said that all is not all. That all is dealing with people that trade. He's saying this judgment, if you live in Harlem, New York, or you live in any poor black country, USA, that this judgment ain't coming to you. That somehow, because you black and you broke, this judgment is coming onto the whole planet, is going to miss you. Not that you could find that in the word anywhere, but that's how he reasoned it out. Verse 16 says he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. He believes this is nations. But it tells you in verse 1 that this beast is coming out to sea of the people. A beast, a government, runs the people. A beast, a government, has got to give its mark to the people. Last time I checked, confused Hebrews still want to call themselves Afro-American or Negro or any byword and proverb that this country is giving them. They fighting for their citizenship every day so they can salute the flag, so they can get their pensions, so they can be ingratiated into the system. And that's the small and the great. Bill Gates is rich. I am poor. Pookie Johnson, he's a bondman because he's in jail in Pelican Bay. Donald Trump, he's free. Brother Jacob, he's small. Jay-Z, he's great in the eyes of these heathens. So there will be a mark, and it will have to go in your hand or in their foreheads. Why? Because you're going to have a choice. Just like Governor Brown put out that law where you have to get this mandatory vaccination. If you choose not to take this mark, you can be killed. That is how it's summed up. But let's finish. Revelation 13 verse 17. And it reads, and that no man, and that no man, and that no man. So again, when we read this part, no man, where do you get a beast and a man as the same thing? You don't get that from the word anywhere. We know when it says a man, he's talking about the man that he made out of the dust of the ground called Adam. We understand when he say a man, we were made in the likeness of his image. He's given us the definition of what a man is. How are you going to let this Hebrew give you a different definition of a man? Let's continue with the read. And that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So whatever, just like if it's an RFID chip, and they put that thing inside your body, in your right hand, it's going to have the name of that beast, or it's going to have whatever government number that beast wants to give you. In this case, that number is 666. And we see that number sported proudly with the biggest corporation that's on the planet right now called CERN. Last verse. It says, here is the wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 636. I hope we got understanding in this. I hope that you can be edified in this. The RFID chip is moving around on this planet as we speak. Is anyone telling you for a fact that is the vein that is a mark? They can't know. But we do know for a fact that the Most High won't do anything without revealing it to his saints. And whatever mark it's going to be, how that beast come up out the system, you will know. We're supposed to cry out loud, spare not, show Israel their transgressions. So you, in the hour of temptation, you won't come up short. That you won't fall into your own lust. We're supposed to be teaching you, Zion, to gird up your loins right now. So when the famine of the word comes, you're not looking for me or some other Negro that had you get dressed up in purple every day so you can hear him say some words of encouragement. That Ruach is already in you. That you are that lion's whelp. And you're ready to do what the Most High has set you to do. You don't need anyone else. Because the Most High will be dwelling in you. And he will send his angel with his presence to fight before you. To deliver you. Because even when all this stuff that we read is coming down, the pestilence, the famine, the death, the Most High is not going to give you more than you can handle. He might punch your ticket to ease your suffering. So with that, that's the end of the lesson. I do want y'all to log in or put on YouTube. If what I'm saying you don't believe is true, I want to hear from it. If you think, because hey, man, my husband and my kids and my whole family's in this doctrine, and this is different from the Sunday churches, so I can't leave it. Whatever may be the reason, I want to hear it. Because Zion, we need to repent and turn back to our Creator. And I don't know any camp that we seen from Korah and Dathan and them, where the Most High says, if you get and act like this, that gives you the golden ticket to get into the kingdom. We all have to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. We all got to buffet ourselves daily to make sure we're up to faith. We all got to fear the Most High and keep his commandments. We come in front of our Abba naked, asking for forgiveness. Because he's our rock, he's our strength, he's our love, he's our guidance, he's the way that we walk, he's the path, he's the tree of life, the water of life, the bread of life. I have no other reason for existence other than to please and serve my Father. And that's a reasonable service for me because I wouldn't have this life. I wouldn't know what a bird is. I wouldn't know how to breathe air. My heart wouldn't be beating. I couldn't be living. I wouldn't make children if my Father didn't make this possible. So this is a reasonable service to give my life to him and to no one else. And my Father, he's a jealous Father. So I ain't sharing his love and affection with no one. He's going to know that I am all his, that I am all in, and I love him. Shalom. is right. Yeah.